A report just out by BrightCloud, which is a digital security firm, has some interesting statistics regarding all types of digital threats today, but I wanted to review a section of that report on ransomware since this is the most prevalent and dangerous threat to the kinds of firms we work with, predominantly small and medium-sized businesses. You've got to ask yourself, what if you were hacked or faced a ransomware event? What would you do? If you're not prepared, stick around so I can explain what that risk looks like in 2022. Okay, ransomware. A quick refresher to understand what it is. Attackers infiltrate your network or your computer via an email phishing scheme where an unsuspecting user on your network clicks on a malicious link or a file and hackers are in. Or they access your system via RDP, which is Remote Desktop Protocol. However they get in, once they're there, they launch the attack and seize control of your network and lock down all of your computers, devices, and drives, both physical and virtual. That means your Google Drive, your Outlook, your Office 360, or your Dropbox out on the cloud are all rendered useless. Last year, 82% of all ransomware attacks targeted organizations with fewer than 1,000 employees. In fact, firms with 100 or less employees accounted for 44% of all ransomware attacks. Hackers target smaller employers because they do not have the security posture that larger firms do. You're easy pickings for hackers. The other thing is that hackers are also realizing that larger targets like the Colonial Pipeline attack last year often lead to deep investigations and arrests, while smaller garden variety attacks don't make the news. In attackers' minds, it's better to fly below the radar and still hit jackpots rather than get caught going after the big fish. This report points out interesting trends in the ransomware attacks. In the past, hackers were satisfied with collecting ransoms on seized networks. But when business owners finally got smart and had fully restorable backups that were detached or air-gapped from their networks, they basically said, I refuse to pay the ransom, so you can kind of go pound sand. Well, now, if you refuse to pay because you have good backups, the attackers simply threaten to dump your data in the public realm. This, of course, can be very damaging to a firm's reputation and invite lawsuits from customers, clients, vendors, and others. It's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and you end up being forced to pay the ransom. Which brings me to the next issue in this report. Ransom demands are skyrocketing. In 2018, the average ransom payment was only around $6,700, according to BrightCloud. In 2020, it had increased to $154,000. And last year, in 2021, it more than doubled to an average payment of $322,000. What's that average going to look like in 2022? Who knows, but I can guarantee it's not going to go down. Another interesting note in this report, which is a fairly new trend, is something called crypto mining or cryptojacking. This is where attackers deploy crypto mining software instead of a ransomware attack on your network, and they absorb your computer or your network's resources to facilitate a crypto mining operation on your computers. So, what's the answer? I think the first thing that every business owner, regardless of size, needs to do is evaluate how valuable is your data. If someone puts a padlock on your data or your network, how disruptive would that be to your business? For most organizations, I would imagine that the response would be, our data is priceless. It runs the company. Without it, we'd be out of business. With the value of your data established, I think the next step is to consider a strategy to combat not just ransomware threats, but all cyber threats. That strategy is known as hardening your network or cyber resilience. Often, the strategy is carried out by an outsourced IT or managed service provider unless you have internal IT resources. And that strategy is usually layered defense strategies focusing on the following things. The first layer is employee training, so employees don't click on those malicious links. The next one is blocking out threats using hardware and software devices. Next is protecting those devices appropriately. Next is backing up your data correctly and having a recovery strategy. And the last step or last layer, in my mind, is having cyber insurance when things go wrong. Cyber insurance is your last line of defense to do two things when the other layers of defense are breached. And quite frankly, when humans are involved, The perfect systems can be defeated accidentally or intentionally. The first function of cyber insurance is to pay for the cost to remediate an event. This includes paying for experts to contain the threat and the damages, as well as paying ransom demands and covering the cost for notifications and other regulatory compliance issues. The second function of cyber insurance is to be a resource to you and your team following an event. Who is the right law firm to handle legal inquiries? How do you perform forensic analysis on your network to uncover what happened? Who is the right PR firm to handle crisis management? These are the questions your cyber insurance company can answer and can bring into the situation very quickly. Here's the bottom line. Cyber threats for small and medium-sized businesses continue to grow and morph out of control. Once you think you've got it figured out, your adversaries are recharting the course so they can continue to extract money from people and businesses like you. The topic I covered here is just ransomware because I believe it to be the biggest threat in the small and medium-sized business market. And when I say small, I mean even one-person solo firms. No one is immune from this threat. Haven't purchased cyber insurance yet? Thinking it may be time but you don't know what to do or where to go? Wonder if your cyber insurance is sufficient in the face of these growing threats? Why not give me a call or drop me an email? As an expert in cyber insurance, we represent the top players in cyber, and we'd be happy to speak with you about your options and guide you along the way. I promise, no high pressure, no sales games or gimmicks. If you're serious about getting the right protection, we're serious too. Thanks for watching this, and please hit that thumbs up button if you like this content. My contact info is coming up, and you can even book an appointment on my calendar in the description box below. Thanks.